Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the live composing show, or as I'm thinking in my head right now, more like the live mixing show, given how much mixing I'm doing this month. But welcome, everybody. I hope that you are doing absolutely fantastic. I appreciate your patience. I had to start the stream a little bit later today. I was putting some kiddos down to bed. The schedule got a little out of hand, but we're good to go. And you also notice that behind me, I'll change the camera just for a second. You'll notice I have my new fancy Herman Miller Aeron chair. I've been wanting one of these things for literally like a decade or 2 decades, however long, because back in my early career, 10 years ago or so, 12 years ago, I had the opportunity of working with some LA Hollywood composers on film, video games, documentaries and such, and they all had this one stinking chair. And here I am now way later in my career, and I've had so many back issues in my life, and it's so stupid that I've waited this long to get a good high quality chair. So I am like living my best life right now because I have a good chair. So if at any point, maybe if I'm actually writing music, a proper live composing show, I might switch back to the normal stool I use. But just for anyone building a studio, or perhaps in your studio, you're looking for something super duper comfy, this thing is stupid expensive, but I mean, that's what you pay for. You pay for quality. So absolutely love this. Highly recommend it. I don't have an affiliate link of any kind for you, but that's fine. Go check out the Herman Miller Aeron chair. My buddy Brandon Boone, who is my co-composer for Dark Dice, I convinced him to buy one, and now he's a believer. He and his wife, they both work from home in their studios, and he's now like an absolute believer, as I am, because now I don't have any back pain sitting all day, which is absolutely fantastic. So highly recommend it. So if you're like on the fence and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to spend $1,800, $2,000, whatever it is these days, for a chair that you could get for like $200, $300. Well, in the time that I've wished I've had this chair, I've gone through like 5 really cheap chairs. So instead of buying twice, buy nice. There's your sales pitch for the day. Anyway, welcome guys, live composing show. I'm your host, Stephen Melin, if I haven't said that yet. I hope you're doing fantastic. I'm going to try to keep the chit chat to a minimum today because I started a little bit late. I want to make sure that we actually get some stuff done here today. But if you haven't followed the show for a while, for the last month or so, I've been chugging away at some mixes for Dark Dice, which is an audio drama, and the team is looking to expand into other territories, other types of media as we continue down the road. And so this music is likely going to be used in multiple contexts, and that's all I can say about that. So I'm doing my absolute best to make sure this music sounds amazing and can be used in a lot of things. And we've even had some whispers about potential Grammy nominations for this soundtrack and things of that nature. So very excited about where this soundtrack is headed. We're already something like 20 or 25 tracks into this thing, and there's still another 7 to go. So this is what I'm doing a lot of right now. Very exciting stuff. So that's all I have to say for today. But what's up? We got Thomas Brooks, Sector 7 Music, 7K, 7 Clang, and a few others popping into the chat here. So as always, talk in the chat. I love talking back with you guys, and I hope this is a fun experience. I don't do a whole lot of mixing on this channel, on this show, so I like to show my process, and I hope that that's helpful for you. Not a lot of composers talk about mixing, because either they hire a mixer, or they're not very good at it, or I guess the third option is they just don't talk about it. And how can I help you if I don't show you my process? So today we're hanging out in Pro Tools over here, and I've said this before, but whenever I'm in Pro Tools, it's a little harder to see what's happening on the screen when my big old face is hanging out down here and taking up half the screen. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth between these two camera angles, so bear with me there. But what I want to do today is this is a blank session, freshly imported. This is the track called Westmann Hold. And if you saw the thumbnail pic for this video, it's a really cool scene, environment. It's kind of weird talking about this project because this music is used in so many contexts that it's not like a traditional story, like in a film where it's used for one scene and then it's done. And it's not like a video game where it's used in one environment and it's done. And it's not even purely an audio drama where it's only used for one audio scene, but rather this music is used in multiple contexts, in different podcast shows, potentially some videos, games, whatever the team wants to use it for. There's no public announcements on any of that, but the idea is this music is super usable in a lot of contexts, and whenever I deliver the music to the team, I actually deliver stems. So I give them the strings, the choir, the hammer dulcimer, the violin, the cello, and all of the different instruments that are involved. And that way, at the end of the day, they can use as many or as few tracks as they want, and they can adapt it to the context. So that way, when our characters in the audio drama version of the story are walking into Westmann Hold, which is like this ancient dungeon, the dwarven territory, when they're in there, they might only hear a creepy violin playing, maybe over dialogue or something, right? The team's still deciding what to use and in what context, but maybe a solo violin plays and it's the main theme that we've recorded. But then in another scene or another context, we might have the full orchestra, or we might have just the drums or whatever. And so the stems are very powerful. So you could call it adaptive or dynamic music. It's kind of what we're aiming for. And so when I'm mixing, I am using Pro Tools today, 7 Clang, who asked. The goal is to export everything as stems. So that's why I have to route this a very specific way. So let me show you the process. I've done this before on the channel, but for anyone that is new or would like to kind of get a quick refresher, let's pop through what it takes. And I do want to also share that I have not heard this before. I've gotten through 7 tracks so far, 3 of which are finalized. There's a lot of work that goes into this, and there's still another 7 tracks that I have to mix that I haven't imported and done everything. So you're literally watching me do this live. That's why I do this show, to give you guys a true sneak peek or a peek behind the curtain of what this job looks like. So here we go. I'll explain bits and pieces as I go, and hopefully you can ask questions if I don't explain something clearly. But basically, here is the strings only recorded by Budapest Strings, and then I am going to import the Budapest choir session, followed by all of the soloists, and I'll show you some of the routing. So, enough chit-chat, let's get some work done. So here we go. These are all of the clicks and Skype call type things from the team that we don't need. So I'm also going to select every track. I'm going to remove all of the sins that they used, all the aux channels they used, because I'm not in their studio in Budapest, Hungary. This is my studio, so I need to make sure everything's routed to my gear. And really the only thing I need to route at the moment, I need to create, let's just do 2 stereo aux tracks. One of them is going to be called strings. This is actually a very simple arrangement versus some of the other tracks. Strings, other one's going to be called choir. Let's turn those into green tracks. That way they're easy to identify as auxes. I'm going to put my master channel on the bottom, and the only thing in the master currently is an L1 limiter set to -0.1 dB. That way nothing peaks. And then meta plugin, this is so you guys can actually hear what I'm doing today in this session. I'm using a J-bridged Voxino recorder VST. And it's on, it's loaded, so that just means when I start playing music, well, sort of. I haven't routed anything, but you will be able to hear it. So the next thing here is I have auxes, but they're not doing anything. So I'm going to set all of my strings to bus 1, 2. And then set my input to the strings aux as 1, 2. I'll do the same thing for choir. We're going to do bus 3, 4. And I can't really do anything unless I've imported the choir. So let's actually import session data. I'm going to pinpoint the choir session. So I'm over here on my other screen. I have 3 screens, by the way. I highly recommend it if you can afford it. It's a game changer to have 3 monitors because you can just get everything. Like I can have my, obviously while streaming, I can have YouTube up. I can have my streaming platform. I can have my folders on this screen, and I can have all of my DAW stuff over here. Super, super fun. Probably the best investment I've ever made is having 3 monitors. 2 was great, but 3 was like exponentially great. Anyway, let me grab, if you hear a cat meowing in the background, that's my cat. One of my cats losing her mind. Let's do, thankfully, I mean, you guys can see this if you want. I have all of my sessions organized. I just have a million sessions to look through. So I'm looking for, what's the name of this track? Westmann Hold Choir. There it is. Westmann Hold Choir. I'm going to import just that session info here. Now, I don't want to import everything. I just want to import the important stuff. So I'm literally just going to drag what I need, which really should only be the choir stems themselves. So I'm just going to click on the ones I need, and they're all mono microphones spread across the recording stage. That's all I need. I'm just making sure I actually grabbed them all, and I did. I don't need their reverb, I don't need their talkbacks or any of those other tracks that the Budapest choir used. Down here, I do want to make sure that I'm just hitting import, and that's it. I don't need any other information from the session. And then it takes a second, pops those thousands of audio waves, pretty crazy. Pops them all in, and you'll notice how they're all different colors and they're pretty ugly, so it's important that I get this organized. So let me take all of my choir tracks. I'm going to use this left pane over here to drag them all down to where I actually want them in my list. And I'm going to put them below the strings. And then I'm going to also be smart and remove all the groups that were imported with it. So I'm going to hit delete active groups because that's stupid. There's too much information. And it looks like they only had so many tracks because of my other recordings. They had a lot of overdubs and stuff. So I can remove any track that doesn't have information in it. So really it's just one choir recording like that. So let me take the choir. Let's remove any of the sends that are from the old session. And just like before, we're going to set the output to a bus. 3, 4 is what I want. And then we're going to create a couple groups here. Here we go. I just want to get everything organized. That's the goal here. So the first thing is I'm going to take all of the strings, create a new group, call it strings. This is all the important stuff to do before you ever start mixing. Then grab all of the choir tracks, make a group called choir. Now I have 2 groups over here, and now we can actually do some stuff, right? So we have I'm going to change the color. I don't like them being green. Let's make them purple. It's been my go-to color for like a pinkish purple magenta for all of the choir. So now we have a bus going to the aux of the strings and bus going to the aux of the choir. And now if we actually start playing stuff and set our master to my audio interface, we should hear some stuff. Okay, that's super cool. Again, I've not heard any of this, so this is going to be super cool for me to finally hear what the strings and the choir sound like. I was at the sessions. I did the Zoom sessions, and I live streamed them if you want to see them on my channel, what those sessions are actually like in 3-hour or 4-hour chunks. We did a lot of sessions. We did 5 sessions in total. And I think I streamed all of them. Heck of a lot of music. This is an hour of music. It takes a long time. But the idea, and I got my 3rd cup of coffee for the day over here. So if I'm a little jittery, a little extra energized, that's what's happening, because I'm very sleepy today. Yay, newborn life. Where was I? And there we go. Losing my train of thought. I wanted to respond to John Doe. Is that your real name? You don't have to tell me. That's like a very standard American name, like John Smith. That's funny. Well, John, he says, hello, everybody. Fairly new subscriber here. Love the content and shared information. Thanks, dude. I'm glad you're here. I hope you'll always find this is a safe place, a very chill place to ask your questions. And I can't always get to all your questions, but I'm here to help. I'm here to kind of shine the light on some of the mysteries of the industry that no one seems to talk about because they don't want to share their insider secrets. But I'm like, here you go. Why not? Like, I wish I had a channel like this that I could watch growing up. It would have changed everything. It would have accelerated me 10 years ahead. But alas, I digress. Anyway, so cool. I also need to create a reverb aux. That's what I was missing. So I've learned in mixing 7 of these suckers so far. I actually went back and had to change my mixes slightly. I learned that if I create a reverb aux, I mean, this is not news if you've followed me for a while, but this is just good, smart mixing. You should create 1 reverb channel, put your reverb on it. I like to use 2C Audio Aether. And for this soundtrack, I really like the default Hall 1. It's kind of surprising. I don't usually like that one, but it really works. It's very clean. It's like a smaller hall. It doesn't feel huge like some of these other ones. But Hall 1, I put mix 100%, and that way I can use a send. A send is different from an insert, right? A send allows you to take the aux, so all of the strings. We're going to do a bus to, let's just call it bus 101. Why not? That's a nice round number that's way out of the way. So now what's happening is I'm making reverb bus 101, 102, so it's stereo. And then I'm taking the strings and the choir, and I'm going to create a send, which is this beautiful little strip here. Not enough composers use these. This is like mixing 101. You have to know how to use sends. So what this does is it creates one space, which is right here. This reverb is one room that we're trying to imitate. So the strings, I'm going to send a percentage to that hall of the 100%. So I've been landing strings. I've been landing around 17, negative 17. And that's just like a random unit that doesn't really mean anything. You have to kind of play around with it because this is negative 17 dB of 100% of a reverb. So it doesn't really make any mathematical sense. You just have to kind of find your own number that works. And then I'm going to copy it into the choir and do the same thing. But choir, I want it to feel closer, so I'm going to do less. And I've landed on negative 22 has been my sweet spot for really, really sharp clarity of the text. And then the last thing is I want to make sure that the choir, I'm doing some kind of stereo imaging so that it doesn't feel flat. Flat meaning like horizontally flat. So my favorite plugin for this is called S1 Shuffler by Waves Audio. And what this sucker does is this allows me to space out like a V shape. So a stereo sound, especially having like, what is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So there's 9 microphones that capture the choir. And the problem with that is even though they're already panned, they take up a whole stereo field, right? But a stereo imager takes all of that sound and it forces it where I want it to go. So I don't want the choir to feel like it's everywhere. It needs to be controlled, or else I'm not really mixing it to where it needs to be. I want the strings to feel front and centered, and not centered, that's the wrong word. And to feel forward and intimate. That's what I want with strings. That's why we record a medium-sized ensemble, modeled after Bloodborne and Dark Souls soundtracks. That's the goal. And The Witcher 3, those are like the 3 soundtracks we try to imitate in the ensemble size. And so the choir, I want to do an imager that takes all of that information and forces it into a V shape. Instead of being everywhere, it's very controlled and clean and clear. I think I actually grabbed the wrong plugin, my bad. I want S1 Imager, not Shuffler. They're slightly different. Imager is only 2 knobs. The other one is 4 knobs. So let's keep it simple. So basically, I'm trying to take the width and find a sweet spot to get the choir into a V shape instead of a big line, right? So typically somewhere in this range, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I want a pretty clean V shape. That's all I want. And you'll notice that when I start playing, now we can actually hear some cool stuff. That's cool. One more thing, I want to make sure that this is the tiniest little button ever that I was never taught when I went to school. But this little button is like a life-changing button, and it's so small and so easy to miss with this little AZ button. If you click it, it highlights it yellow, and what it means is you don't have to hold Control or Alt or Shift when you're using your computer keyboard, which is so cool. So literally all I have to do is when I want to do a crossfade, I select everything I want to crossfade and then hit the F button on my keyboard, and boom, it creates a crossfade. So fast. It's so amazing. Oh, it's going to be so pretty. That's my Lord of the Rings chord. Another technique I'm using here is when I select a group, if I hold Windows key and Shift at the same time while I'm scrolling my mouse wheel up or down, it'll actually increase the volume of all of the clips selected. That's my favorite key command. It's so useful. See that? You can make it big or small. And sometimes I don't even look at the numbers. I try to actually match the waveforms to be about the same size because you can visually see it go up and down. Another super cool Pro Tools feature. Because this is a melody, so I want to make sure it comes out. So when something is a melody, I always want to bring up the volume ever so slightly as I'm crossfading and playing through. Hear those kind of smacky smacks? That's the violins and stuff. The string players made a lot of noise here. I might keep it, I might not, I don't know. Either way, it's so pretty. So good. Geez, it just gave me such chills. I don't know about you. That shift from like the big loud choir. Ooh. And I hope that I don't ever want to do a channel that's like reaction videos, but I hope this is fun. Like I've never heard this, and putting it all together is like one of the most satisfying feelings ever. To finally hearing all that MIDI that I wrote for months is now real, and I can actually do something with it with the right reverbs and stuff. Oh, it's just so satisfying. And I haven't even added all the other instruments, but I have to start with the strings and choir, make sure that sounds good, and then I layer in all the other elements. But this is the heart of it. way too loud. Cool. I like to keep some kind of reverb room noise or reverb at the end. Just crossfade it out. Don't get rid of all of it. Like that. That's a cool pluck at the end. I'll turn that up a lot. Just that one little piece. Whenever I change the volume of a section, I always crossfade the two clips. That way there's no weird clips. Nice. All right. It's starting to sound cool. And it sounds like this is my intro here. Cool. Man, that's Skyrim right there. That's awesome. That was our note to the, if you guys watched the live stream of the choir sessions, we said constantly, whenever we didn't feel like the men were like shouting loud enough, we're like, do it like Skyrim, do it like Skyrim. And eventually they did. And it sounds amazing. That sounds so good. Like Dragonborn. Offbeat. So I'm going to just visually go in here and zoom in, try to line these up a little bit before I go into any kind of quantizing. Let's at least try our best to. That's not going to work. So here's our quantized audio very quickly. I go over here to my group, hit polyphonic. This is super easy. I love Pro Tools for this reason. Look, I hit Alt-0 to open up my event operations and quantize. Let's do quarter note, apply, boom. Now it's quantized to the beats, just that section. So I'm going to get rid of the little markers at that point because you don't need them anymore. There's a lot of like room noise. Oh well. So pretty. Cool. It's pretty good basic mix there. Now let's start adding in some other elements. There's a whole lot of solos and things that we got to make sure are in here. So I've already gone through the trouble of, for all the solo instruments that are in this score, I asked each instrumentalist to record with multiple microphone placements. That way we can have a close and a far and an X and a Y. That way I have lots of options to mix. So then I took all of their recordings and I combined them by musician and did my own mix that I really liked, the combo of, intimate versus far, and just kind of mixed them all together and did one export per track. That way I don't have to do all that stuff while I'm doing the actual track mixing. And that way everything is put together. And I can just import it and everything is consistent across the entire soundtrack and it's going to sound good. So that's what I'm going to be importing right now. So let me actually locate all my soloists. It's just in this folder right here. You can see it. We have Duduk by Kristen Nigas, Hammer Dulcimer by Cal Paxton, Hurdy-Gurdy by Johannes Gewerkian-Hellman, Native American Flute by Kristen Nigas, Recorder by Kristen Nigas, Solo Cello by Andrew Dunn, Solo Violin by Matthias, so I keep saying his name wrong, I'm so sorry, Mateus Garcia Souza, and Toyo, which is bass pan flute by Kristen Nigas. So super cool stuff. So we just need to find the ones that are for, oops, I pushed the wrong key command and all my windows disappeared. Come back. There we go. We just need to find the ones that are for Westmann's Hold, which is not a lot of them. Let's see, Westmann's Hold, and all I have to do in Pro Tools is double click and it'll automatically add it to my final list, and we can import them all at the same time. Pretty nifty stuff. Hurdy-gurdy. Let's find Westmann's Hold. It's the best way that I could find to keep it all organized. By the way, in the soundtrack, all of the winter-themed tracks use woodwinds, so I'm not expecting to find woodwinds in this track. This is underground. This is like the dwarven dungeon territory. Think of the Mines of Moria in Lord of the Rings. It's kind of in that vein. Very religious, very spooky. I think it's it. That should be everything, and I'm making sure that I'm adding all the clips, new tracks, and yes, Kristen is an absolute beast of a musician. What a treat to have her on the soundtrack. All right, so this one, let me label them, Hammer Dulcimer. Let's call that HG Melody. Violin. Cello. I like to put violin on top because sonically it's the top. And then I like to do cello, hurdy-gurdy, and I need to import, just for a moment, I need to import an instrument track. This is the only MIDI I'm going to have in the whole thing. This is going to be called HG Drones. So I actually created my own sample instrument for, I actually made several of my own sample instruments for this soundtrack just to keep it unique and interesting. So I made my own hurdy-gurdy drone library. And I can't sell any of these. I mean, I could, I just don't want to. So if you guys really want this stuff, I guess you could beg or something, but anyway. Pardon me why I choke and die over here. Choking on my coffee because I made a stupid joke. All right, what do I need? Ethnic, strings, hurdy-gurdy. So yeah, I built my own hurdy-gurdy library with the actual musician for this soundtrack. I had him play a bunch of notes, a bunch of times, a bunch of different ways, and then put them together to make a sample instrument of my own that sounds exactly like, literally same instrument, same recording, same mic placements. That way it sounds exactly as if he played it for the soundtrack. However, I did not want poor Johannes Gewerkian-Hellman to play his hurdy-gurdy drones as single notes for literally hours. So instead, I only had him play for like 30 minutes. Sounds pretty freaking awesome. All right, a couple things. I need to make sure that I'm using my sins for my reverbs. So for this part, I like to keep the solo instruments really low in Reverb unless we need to individually bump them. So for that reason, I'm going to keep them at negative 22 on each of these solo instruments down here. And if an instrument needs more, then I am going to bump it up, never down. That way everything's consistently, it all feels... Don't beg me while I'm choking on my coffee. Oh, lordy. Oh, gosh. Yeah, Brooks, you seem to know all these musicians I'm using. Yeah, Mateus is absolute class act. If anyone needs a literally world-class violinist for a reasonable price, reach out to Mateus. He's by far the most professional musician I've ever worked with in my life. I've worked with a lot, and he's my absolute go-to violinist because he slays everything I give him, and he can play at the absolute hardest, most challenging virtuosic level. I've never written something... We're not going to do it today, but the track called A Corrupting Sound, which is like a boss battle track, literally has like 4-octave arpeggios on violin, and they're all 16th notes at like 160 BPM. It's like a whole minute of that. I don't know if he had to take 1 or 2 takes or whatever, but he slayed it and sent it like the next day. I'm like, what the heck? What kind of machine are you? And it sounds infinitely better than any sample instrument I could ever use. And I'm so amazed by him and everything he does. So anyway, enough about him. I'm gushing over here. Highly recommend him. Anyway, okay, cool. We got our reverbs in. Let me make sure all of these are colored something. I like to do like an orangey brownish. That way I can actually visually see that it's different. Okay, what else do we need before I can mix? Oh yes, of course. I need the original stems. So the original stems are just audio tracks from the original Cubase session where I wrote the thing. Or in the case of Brandon Boone's tracks, he would send me his stems. And I just find that original track. This is Westmann Hold. Go to my stems folder. Here they are. I'm going to import everything. And we're going to add files. Pop them in as new tracks. Watch Pro Tools blow its top off as it yells at me about having way too many tracks than my less than the most expensive version of Pro Tools can handle. I can only have I can only have 100 tracks in my session. But thankfully I don't need 100 tracks. Half of these are going to go away because... Oh, that's why. That's stupid. I did it the wrong way. Sorry, guys. Oh, Pro Tools. Why? I love Pro Tools. I love Pro Tools, right? I'm supposed to love Pro Tools. Pro Tools can be a really annoying program sometimes. Let me try this again. Sometimes it gets really confused. Let me go find those again. I have to import them from the clip track menu. I don't get to just import them like any other DAW. Sometimes you can, but whenever there's a sample rate issue with one track, just one, if like one of these is actually 44.1 instead of 48, it can't import any of them without splitting them all into mono, which is the dumbest feature. But I guess it's the way it's programmed. So instead of hitting new track, I have to hit clip list. And then over here in my clip list, it's going to highlight all of those millions of things I just imported, I hope. This is actually why I labeled them this way. Pardon me why I just ripped my hair out. One more try, folks. One more try. Pro Tools you must appease the beast. It is a phenomenal program, but does not mess around. If you don't know how to use Pro Tools, you could very easily delete all of your material without even knowing it. It has a lot of really cruel functions. If you make it one mistake, it's like delete all tracks. Yeah, sure. And then you actually delete them from their original source files and they're all like deleted forever. Okay, last try. Add files, clip list, and you can watch them all appear over here. Ta-da! Now I had to do it in that order so that they'd be highlighted. I didn't have to go searching for them. So now I click and I drag. But alas, I do not have enough tracks selected. Another Pro Tools-ism. There we go. All right. I know. I'm making fun of Pro Tools because its pros are so high and its cons are so high. So I understand why people get really annoyed with Pro Tools, because it can be an absolute nightmare sometimes when dealing with crap like this. So I'm trying to figure out why one of these is not importing. It's driving me insane. That's why it's being all... We're going to do it, though. We're going to figure this out. They're all stereo tracks. Isn't that crazy? Look, it won't even show them. What did I do wrong to offend you, Pro Tools lords? Okay, it's like that one. Like, I'm so confused. So what was really happening is one of these tracks is actually mono, and it's not telling me which one. And it's going to make me guess. Oy, oy, oy. So we're just going to keep doing this. Solo cello until Nope, so it's one of these. I'm telling you, I love Pro Tools, but man, it has some really ancient programming on some things. Okay, got horror flute, horror harp. No other DAW would make you do this, run through these hoops. But there's no way around it. I have to use this. Okay, how about now? Nope. One of my tracks does not fit like the others. But I actually think what's happening is it's just not showing me my line. I think they're there. Holy crap, I'm going to spend my whole stream importing blasted tracks. See? I might have to restart it, to be honest. This is really dumb. We're just going to sing, and we're going to make this sort of fun, because this is stupid. Okay, cool. I just need a few more, and then we've made it to the finish line. Holy crap. This is the most annoying thing ever. Go ahead and drop your Pro Tools woes in the live chat. This is so stupid. I can't even fit all my tracks in there. Oh, kill me. Just kidding. Don't do that. I love my life. Wow, this is asinine. Oh, I don't even know what to do. I've literally run out of tracks. It just keeps yelling at me because I've hit the 100 threshold. What in the world? No, I haven't. It's just being dumb. Okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to hang out with me for 3 more seconds. I'm going to take a coffee break for 2 minutes, reload the stupid session, and then import these properly. Bye. Hello, friendly folks. I turned my microphone up, and I hope that's okay. Yeah, so I reloaded my session because that was stupid. It was just being weird. Sometimes you just got to restart the program and move on with your life. Okay, here are my stems. Last one I imported was strings low tremolo. And now, hopefully, it'll let me import my last few, and we can be done. Yeah, it was just broken. It was a glitch, because now everything works as intended. So perhaps it would be wise of me to just double check by grabbing everything and importing, because this is what it's supposed to do. See that? See how easy that was? That's what it's supposed to do. It's just supposed to put it in. I do not understand what kind of glitch that was, but who cares? It works now. Yay! Hooray! So let's close the clip list and never open it ever again, because Pro Tools is dumb sometimes. It just needs a little bit of restarting to get the juices flowing. You just needed a coffee break, that's all. right? All right, so back to the show, because that was stupid. So here's why I did all that, okay? What I want to do is, I actually want to mute everything so it doesn't accidentally play. I want to find basically anything that needs to like visually be mirrored against the MIDI, so that I can actually delete choir stuff, because I don't need choir stuff. I also don't need string stuff, because clearly we got that live and covered. So I'm deleting cello, double bass. Let's delete the piano sketch from the original version. Let's delete these two. And hey, look, this one's actually new. I need the strings high flautando. That's a patch that I want to throw in there at the top. So this one, I actually want to send it to my bus like the others and treat it exactly like the others. So it sounds like this. Oh crap. I have a lot of stuff playing. So let's mute all of the solos. Here's what the high flautando sounds like by itself. I think. Let's see. Bus 1, 2. Oh. Bus 1, 2. There we go. I solved it. Okie dokie. Let's find my reverb. Sometimes my reverb also screws up. It's the weirdest thing when I load a session. But that's a non-issue. Okay, let's fade this in. Yeah, I know, right, Jacob? Sometimes Pro Tools, you just have to like ask politely, and then it behaves. All right, this is a stem, so I want to make sure it has a stemish color. I like to do like a yellowish gold. Cool, that sounds really good. Let's unsolo all of those. All right, so let's reintroduce all of these elements. So what I was doing here was I wanted to grab any of these that can be deleted. So like strings long, tremolos. Do I even have shorts? Interesting. Ooh, that's nice. I'm gonna keep that. Sometimes it's nice to add to keep some of the MIDI. So I'm gonna do low strings short, and let's keep that just to kind of help keep some of the continuity. It's gonna sound really nice, actually. It really needs this. It sounds so good with the MIDI, actually. Listen. So much more powerful now. Really cleans it up, actually. So there's a little tip for you guys. So whenever you're working with live ensembles, it's important that you keep the MIDI just in case you want to add some extra oomph to it, especially low strings. Low string samples sound really good. So even if you turn them down and layer them underneath like I'm doing, it's just a nice yong, yong. It helps us add some volume to that low end and keep it nice and rich without stealing the show from the live strings. Because without it, listen to it without it, it's kind of wimpy. Blah, blah, blah. But listen to it now with the MIDI. Has a bit of like a stab to it, which is cool. Cool, that was a good find. All right, down here, let's see what else I can get rid of. A lot of the stuff I can get rid of. All of the stringy stuff. I might keep the low string pits for the same reason. Yeah. Let's see if that's helpful to keep that in. At a lower volume as well. Let's find out. Ooh, yeah, that's like really fat and juicy. So good. Wow, that was a good find too. Check that out. Like it keeps the whole ensemble in time. It's fantastic. It adds a lot of beefiness to low end. See if it also works down here. I'm trying to stay in slip mode so I can chop off any of this, any of this unneeded dead space in between. I don't remember the exact size of the string ensemble, but it's the Budapest Strings. It's a famous ensemble that records a lot for film, TV, games, etc. And you can contract them a few $1,000 per hour, whatever you need, usually. It's a medium ensemble size. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's probably like 12 violin, 1, 10 violin, 2, 8 violas, 6 cellos. It's pretty small, but this is like almost to the T exactly what the Dark Souls Orchestra or the Super Mario Galaxy Orchestra, any of like the famous Japanese sounding or Eastern sounding ensembles use this. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. And don't quote me on the price part because it has everything to do with how much music you have and the length of your session and all that fun stuff. Yeah, that low string pits kicks butt. I'm glad I kept that MIDI. I think everything else I will delete because this is just fluff. I don't need any of the fake strings for legato stuff. Live ensembles will always win versus MIDI there. It's the short stuff that you might want to keep sometimes. So what I wanted to do is take this bounce of the MIDI, which is these stems right here, the gray ones. I'm going to put it in front of each of the real stems, like the real live recordings, and I'm going to try to line them up. That way I don't have to guess where each of these lands, because that's annoying. Let's see what else. Okay, so Hammer Dulcimer is another live one. And then we have our hurdy-gurdy. So hurdy-gurdy melody is this one. And the drones is something I want to copy. I'm going to make my own patch. Well, I already made my own patch. So this part right here, I'm actually going to copy, if I can. There it is. So that's the Enzo, if anyone follows me on Samples Audio, That's the Enzo hurdy-gurdy, which is good, not great. It's not my best thing ever. But this one's way better. Okay, so let's do clips. All right, getting into MIDI territory here. The goal here is just to literally do one note. There it is. Where are you? There it is. Basically just taking this. It doesn't change notes too much. But, you know what? If I want to be smart, do I have the MIDI information? If I do, I should probably import that, huh? Wouldn't that be way smarter? So let me take a minute and do that. I should have it from the original Cubase session. That'll save me so much time. I don't have to guess all these notes. Yeah, I have it. I have it. Okay, here we go. Insert 5 million MIDI tracks. Please, Pro Tools, don't blow up on me. Okay, yay. That's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to delete everything that is not the hurdy-gurdy drone. Yay, I don't know why I didn't think of doing that before. Come on, guys, you got to be better. Come on, live chat. Do your job. Just kidding. All right, so I'm going to take this MIDI region, and look how easy this is. Drag and drop, drag and drop. All right. There it is. Now I have myself a beautiful yumminess, and it's done. What an idiot. Like, why did I not think of doing that? Isn't that cool? Now it's mixed exactly the exact same way as the hurdy-gurdy melody is. So here's the melody. And before I get too carried away, let's find the actual locations of the clips. That's why I have all this out. And you can hear now the melody track here is the real recording. The HD drones track is MIDI using the sample instrument that I created. And now let's find out if they can actually work in tandem together. This is going to be the ultimate test. Let's see. I think I might have to change my octaves. Oh, there we go. It was just an octave off. Cool. Incredible. That sounds so real. Oh my gosh. Because it is. Like, that was the goal. I just got to get these in the right place. And get off this stupid pencil tool. Gosh, Pro Tools MIDI is like the worst. It's good at everything else. It's actually pretty fantastic. It's very different from other software. Sounds exactly like he's playing both parts. And I have a round robin in there so that it's not the same every time. Cool. I'll pull this back a little bit. That sounds fantastic. The only thing I would change is the amount of reverb. It's way off. That works really well. And I love how like you can hear like mistakes. They're not mistakes, but like because I had him record these really long notes and basically made legato samples out of them, you can kind of hear the humanity and it sounds real. I love it. How cool. What a success story of sampling for your own soundtrack to save money and time. Wow. And it's so much easier. And that's him really cranking the thing. It's just MIDI instead of audio, so I can do whatever I want with it. Hooray! Success! Technology! All right, now let's get the rest of these suckers in place. Hold the party. All right, so now I'm going to just slip all of the other guys into place. Ooh, I'm missing some violin. What happened? That's not good. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, he just recorded both back to back. See that? He recorded both clips. That's all that was. Let me make sure that they're actually correct. And violin, I like to bump 20% left in this soundtrack. And cello, I like to bump 20% right. Because it helps with the stereo field to have all these different things and different spots of the spectrum. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oops. Obviously that's live plus fake. Sweet, that's gonna sound really good. I can tell that this is gonna need a whole lot more reverb than it currently does. And some fade in, fade out. Let's crank it up quite a bit, maybe like 12. Yeah. I'm telling you, Mateus is absolute legend. So good. Yeah, that reverb kicks butt in this context. Now let's do the same thing for cello. This is Andrew Dunn, rocking the cello. Let's get all these little suckers in place. Piece of cake, just slide them where they need to go. And you kind of do the same thing where I need to make sure that the entrances are faded in to get a little bit more life. Like that. And let's do the same thing, especially since they were played back to back with no rests, it seems. So here we go. Let's get all that in place. Here's the cello by Andrew Dunn. Assuming I don't think it's the right spot. Looks like it's a whole bar off. There we go. Let's see it. Also one of the best cellists I've ever met. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Okay, next up we have Hammer Dulcimer. Let's get him in his spots. All I'm doing is chopping this stuff up on the grid mode. Looks like he's way off. Slide him into place. Sometimes they get off a little bit. So I would rather slide by grid, like quarter notes. It's just off. I have to slide it manually. There we go. Looks good. Has a really long tail because Hammer Dulcimer like hangs on for a long time. So let's make sure we get a really good fade in. And it looks like it's off ever so slightly. Let's get it right on the beat. Right there, tiny little fade in. And then, same thing, let's line all this up. to the beat. That's why I like working with audio so much, is you can really get that transient exactly where you want it before you even listen to it. Okay, now let's delete that and let's hear what this beautiful hammered dulcimer sounds like. Can't wait. Wow. So cool. Cool, but it's also super duper loud. Turn it way down. Let's turn the reverb up on him as well, just a bit. Let's try 18. Ah, what a beautiful ring. Nice, it's so beautiful. Cool, now we have all of the solos in place. We can actually start mixing some stuff. I'm not going to deal with any of the other guys just yet, all the stems of MIDI. But let's see what this sounds like right out of the gate, shall we? This is going to be fun. Ooh. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Looks like everything's off by a bar. The stems are... maybe just a dulcimer. Some of these are off by one bar. Why is it? That's really weird. Huh. It's like... that's weird. I wonder if everything is off in my strings. Give me a sec. That's tricky. Let me turn off my... it's like... these are off, I guess. The choir can't be off. Let's try again. Is there like a bonus? Did we like accidentally record a bonus measure or something? Let's find out. That's so weird. At any rate, that might be what's happening. Okay, let me try to select just those. Let me slide them back a bar and see what happens. I'll do this the good old-fashioned way. One track at a time. Is that a dud bar right there? Yeah. that's what's happening. Okay. Jeez, that sounds bad when I play the wrong bar. There we go. This is starting to come together. Sounding really cool though, that's for sure. All right, let me find. It's like this part got off. This is what you have to do. You gotta clean all this stuff up. So here. Cool. I think I got it. Goes the choir, being late again. All right, I want the melody. I'm going to flip these. I want the hurdy-gurdy to be 20% right on this track. That way it'll mirror the violin really well. The choir came in late there. And find the choir. There they are. Yeah, some weird bar off stuff, but this is just what happens when you're working with so many different sources. Things can get off, but that's fine. That's where I go and fix it now. That choir sounds phenomenal. Sounds like $1 million. Really cranking the verb here on those solo string leads because they need it. Wow, making some progress here. This is beautiful. I think we finally have a decent track. What do you guys think? This has a wrong note in it. No, it's right. Weird. It's just slightly sharp. Might just be something I can we do a little pitch shift here. Whenever something feels flat or sharp, I'll just go in here and do a few synths down to match the rest of the ensemble. Cool. Man, what do you guys think? Question from Andrew Goodwin says, have you ever exported an AAF from Pro Tools so you could do this all in Cubase? No, I have not. That sounds miserable though, because I really do enjoy Pro Tools, I promise. Mixing in Cubase sounds awful. Pro Tools has so many cool batch editing functions that I would never want to leave it. Even though it has its hassles, I think every DAW has its pros and cons. You just got to know what you're signing up for. All right, this is sounding so good, and it's only half the instruments. So the rest of these instruments are, they're all just different stems, some real, some MIDI. But what I want to do real quick is here. Let me grab all the stems and let's do a stem group, so I can move them all together. Stems. I'll even call them, well, they're not even MIDI stems, they're just stems. And these, I like to, like I said earlier, just make them orangish, or gold. Gold's good. Thanks, I'm really liking this too. This is a cool track. I'm very proud of it. Okay, so let's move everything, I don't know, here? Is this where everything starts for real? I feel like there's a note missing here. There is. This is so weird. Let me do this. Low strings, pits. Yeah, see, it's like, what's happening? Is that it? Did I really write an extra bar of music without knowing it? In the MIDI? That's why we would have orchestrated it. That's so weird. That's the weirdest thing. I accidentally wrote 9 bars instead of 8. I'd rather have more than less though. Oh, this is a pain in the butt because I really don't want to create a separate set of tracks just to get this one note. But I don't know if I'm going to have a choice. Why is doing the right thing hard? Okay, here we go. I really hate doing this, but here we go. Here's what we got to do. I'm going to hit duplicate. And this is going to be called Choir 2. And Choir 2 is only going to be that one section, that one little stem right there. Because, I'm not sure if you heard it, but this one needed the quantizing and this one didn't, and it kind of screwed up the whole passage. Super annoying, but that's okay. I had to do it. I will at least change the color to a different purple so it's not as ugly. So what does that mean? It means that here I might do well. I'm just trying to think this one through. So -7.3. I hate going to all that extra work for one measure, but it's necessary to not sound fake and warbly there. Sometimes when you do the polyphonic elastic audio, it can make the whole thing sound weird, even if you're not actually using it. And thanks, Brooks. I'm glad you like this track. It's one of my favorites, too. Very different. Okay, this part. I'm thinking of just taking everything I don't want quantized and slapping it into this track here. Let's call it Choir 2. Okie dokie. That way this part can be quantized without any issues, because it's just these shouts, but they need it really, really bad. And that was a faster solution than one by one trying to map them perfectly. Right? Man, that dulcimer is so sharp. Doesn't really work. I can live with that. So I'm just going to scoot this first one forward. It's really just one note. Super annoying, but that's just how. This is how it goes sometimes. If you really want to knock it out of the park, you got to line this stuff up. some of the other instruments. Cool. Somewhere in here, I screwed up this first measure, but that's fine. Totally fine. Everything else looks good. So I created 3 different hammer dulcimers for this track for dramatic effect. This one's a sampled one. Love it. Super low on purpose. It's supposed to blend with the real one. So I have 2 fake ones. Cool. And these I'm just going to slap a ton of reverb on. It's supposed to blend with the real one, like that. How's that for menacing? Cool. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Have lots of layers here. That's a bell that our producer, Travis, recorded in Germany. That's so freaking cool. So that's another sample that we created for this show. I'm just doing different reverb sends for all of the different levels to make it really fill the space before I add the strings and choir. Can I give it its own identity? This is my darbuka that's sitting right behind me. You can see it down there. Little African drum, or Indian drum. Hello, 7 Tears of Hope. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. This lovely glockenspiel as well, which doesn't sound like it would fit in this context, but it might just do the trick. Next up is horror flute, another custom instrument that I've recorded. It's a bamboo wooden flute. Makes it that howl of the flute. It's really cool. I also have the horror harp, of course, used religiously across this soundtrack. Sounds like this. Let's line up those hits. Okay, here's some more perk. Making it nice and fat. Last two, we have a lute with a delay on it, and then I have a shaker. Let's get the shaker first. It's a little easier. Put the shaker at the top of all my perk stuff. All right, shaker sounds like this. Thanks so much, Jacob. I'm loving this track too. All right, let's figure out where the heck this lute fits into place. This is almost a synth. It's so arpy. I'll play with the lute. But now, at least we have everything. Everything has a home. Now, literally everything's playing. Let's see what this all sounds like. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. Let's just enjoy. Here we go. Don't like how that last note doesn't work. There it is. Cool. So, trim these up a little bit. Here at the end. Okay, we almost have ourselves a track here. There's some clear decisions that have to be made about priority in certain moments. The perk is kind of getting in the way a lot of the time. So I'm wondering, I just don't know how much of this I want. For example, if I take out like the lute, if I take out the shaker, I'm wondering if this track will have a little bit more room to breathe. It doesn't have so many things going on. That sounds better to me already without the drum beat. I think without perk, it might be able to grow a bit more dynamically. Maybe introduce perk halfway through. Probably has more of a purpose. Again, I think this actually does better without all the perk. It's interesting how that works. I'm not going to get rid of it. I am just going to mute it. Let's do this. All right, let's do this over here. Cool. Let's try to do a bit of a fade out. Like this. I like that way better without perk here. I think that lute just sounds too fake in MIDI. It doesn't really function as a synth or a real instrument, so it doesn't really have a purpose. So there's some cool hammered dulcimer stuff going on. Yeah, that really hits hard when we actually just go for it there. I like that a lot better. Do you guys agree to have these little breaks of perk really freshens up the track? Go straight into the loop here. Sounds solid to me. Honestly, I think it's ready. I don't want to do much else in case the team wants a specific thing boosted or lowered, but I think in general it's pretty darn clean. And that's the goal. So I am going to go to my master track here. And I'm going to slap on an ozone. I've been using a specific preset from all of my sessions so far. So I'm going to go back to do some one of the ones I finished recently. So let's do All Shadow. That's what I just finished. I'm just going to go to the master channel from that session and then import it. And all it's doing is it's going to import the settings. So this way I can literally just take that ozone and drag it onto mine and delete. So now ozone is locked and loaded. And all that's on here, I'm using this for all of my tracks, by the way. It's an EQ, which has a pretty significant bass boost, a high boost, mid-high, and then it lowers the mids. And a stereo imaging, which it makes the low end really wide and narrower as we get to higher frequencies. So it makes it feel really fat and rich on the low end and then kind of skinnier on the high end. And then a maximizer, which just bumps the volume ever so slightly to get as close as we can to -14 LUFS, L-U-F-S. That's the target. That's the default target anyway for mastering just about anything in media. That's what people want. So I have it set to the IRC 4, which is the most modern. You don't have to worry too much about these, but I just like the sound of that one the most musical to me. I like to put my limiter here to -0.1. That's exactly what I already have over here, but it's redundant, but I just like to keep it there just in case. You never know. Something slips out of ozone, then there's another one to catch it because it won't hurt anything if it's never used. And then I set my threshold to -1.5. That way there's a little bit of headroom and nothing's boosted too much. And if while playing through this, if the track is just too loud, then I'll literally just take all of the volumes and use the all groups feature over here in my group section and just drag down the volume of everything like 2 dB, and it'll help give more breath and room. So that's all I'm doing. And I'm using that same ozone preset for all of my soundtrack. So now you can do this live with me. I'm going to hit grid. I'm going to hit the in and the out parameters. And now it's literally just going to bounce everything. And we'll do it live together. So once this is over, I'm going to actually have the track export and send it to the clients and see what they think. Thank you guys for being part of this mixing stream today. These are always fun. And likely the client's going to come back and say, hey, here's, 5 little things. If you can tweak this, this, this. Usually just little volume things or timing issues that they heard that I didn't quite hear. I can go back and make those tweaks and export the stems and the master track one more time as the final, and then it makes it to the show. And again, this is my 8th track that I've done so far out of 13. So I'm going to keep working on these every day till they're done, hopefully in the next few weeks. That's the goal. And in the meantime, I'm not actually writing any music except for personal music. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use the live composing show to do mixing for that or writing maybe some VGM, retro VGM stuff. But either way, make sure you come back every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can have a lot of fun with that. And a quick little housekeeping thing before we play out the final track. If you are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. Click the little bell notification. That way you'll always be notified of my live streams like this. And if you'd like a free game music contract, $29 value, right there. Well, my fingers kind of, there we go. Click that little link, type that in, stevemelin.com/music-contract. That's a free contract I use on all of my game projects for free. Hopefully that is super helpful and valuable for you. And that actually puts you on my email list where you'll be notified of all my live streams. You'll be notified of any cool new courses or memberships or coaching or anything else that I do. If I release a new book, whatever. It just gives you the best and the latest on what's going on in the composing world. So I hope you guys get some good value out of that. And of course, thanks for being here today. And hope this is helpful for you. And I'd love to hear, just while we're playing through this final track together, what was interesting for you here today? Like, was there something you learned about Pro Tools or about mixing in general that you thought was interesting? I'd love to hear. Or maybe is there a question you have about mixing that maybe I can tackle next time I do a mixing stream? In any case, thank you guys so much for being here. I have to go wake up my boys. They're taking a nap. Well, sort of. I heard them screaming, so I have to go rescue them. Take care, guys. Let's listen to Westmann's Hold from Dark Dice, the semi-final version. So here we go. I'm going to sign out with Pro Tools, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. My marker is a little bit too soon, or a little too late. It doesn't quite capture all the cool horror harp and horror flute. See, it's way back here. That's where I'm supposed to be. So let me try it again. Boom. Because you heard like the big slap. I don't want a big slap. I want it to actually start when the track starts, which is like here-ish. Okay, we'll try it again. See you in the live chat. Bye-bye.